Hey everybody, in this video we're going to go ahead and create a new library for our application, and we're also going to bring in the NoxDB library, not library, service program that we can use in our app as well. So let's go ahead and do that. First of all, let's create a library and let's call it to do API. And I'm going to copy some objects over from Punk API to my new to-do API library. So I'm going to go ahead and take a copy of the JSON XML service program, and I'm also going to take a copy of QRPGLE ref. And I'm going to prompt both of these and obviously put in Punk API, not Punk API, to-do API as my new library, and the same for QRPGLE ref, but of course duplicate data is star yes because we want the header files. Let's go look at that. To do API slash star all. There they are. Now let's do a work remember PDM of Punk API, and we need to delete to do API. We need to delete Punk API out of my to do API. We don't want that anymore. So that's really the main part. We could also go ahead and create the binding directory for this API too. To do API, to do API. Work binding directory entry. To do API, and one JSON XML type serve plugin library to do API. Of course, you can reuse JSON XML. I'm just doing it for some consistency. That's totally up to you how you want to do it. But there's my binding directory to start off with, and now we're really ready to start writing some code. And the very first thing, of course, is the login process and creating our token from the API, which is actually going to be fairly simple. I'm pretty excited actually. So let's go ahead and open up your IDE. Of course, I'm using iLeditor 2 here. And actually, I should mention, if you're not sure how to get the JSON XML service program, make sure you watch the setup from the initial setup videos, because that will show you how to get the JSON XML, and also it's in the README of the repository for this. It's in the README of how to get this. I put the save file as a package file, and you can extract it onto, into the library Punk API and copy it from there. Anyway, that was a mouthful of words. Let's go ahead and add my source file shortcuts. Of course, we also need to create source PEF QRPGLE source to do API. We need to do that. Lovely. So this will just be to do API, and of course the same here, to do API. Ta-da API, love that. And then compile settings, I don't think we need to do anything here. We're just using generic stuff. Library list is very important, of course, to do API. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and save it, refresh, open up my QRPGLE ref, and we should just double check that, of course, we have the JSON XML headers that we're going to need to actually use the service program. Let's have a look here. I think every time around this time of day, this box is just slow. And I think weekends is when we have backups running, but I really don't get it. Anyway, so we have our JSON XML header. That's everything that we want right now. We actually can just start writing the code for the API, which is awesome. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and create a new member, and let's call it to do API.SQLRPGLE. So that's going to take a sec, and I'm just going to refresh this list and reopen it to get the record length in there. That's obviously very important. Blimey, what is happening tonight? Let's just do a workout job and see what we got going down. Maybe I regret that. Anyway, there we go. So, here we go. Fairly simple. Of course, ** free, ctl opt, no main, and of course we can put the binding directory here as well. To do API, very simple. And of course we can also bring in the copy book for the JSON XML APIs. And then we can start off by writing some code. Let's start with to do authenticate. Of course, export. Now, this is an interesting procedure because it's actually just going to take a username and password, and it's going to return a variant length character, and that variant length character, it's quite a long token, so I think to be safe we'll make it, let's say, well, that's a lot of characters. That's a lot of characters, so let me just see how long this is. I'll just paste it here and have a look. So this is 154 characters long, so let's just make it 200 to be safe. Okay, you know, you can use whatever you like, but I'll just use 200. And actually, we should make that constant too. So let's maybe we'll put that in the header. That this needs to be a constant at some point. That's okay. So what this is going to do, it's going to ask for a p username, which in this case will be a pointer value options star string, because we don't want to, you know, maximize. They want to be able to pass in as much as they need to for their username and password. We shouldn't be limiting them on that. And then we just need to create the object. So, you know, using the JSON XML APIs, let's just create a JSON pointer object and say JSON equals JSON underscore new object. Okay, and then we're going to say JSON set str. It's going to be here. It's going to be username, and then it's going to be their p username. And then we'll do the same for the password, and it's going to be p password. Love how easy that is. And then we're going to need to create, of course, like a some information for our request. So we need declare s, and let's just say, let's just call this JSON string. Let's make it variant length character. It's going to be quite long. Let's make it 512, because I don't think we're going to be working with that much data in this API, so that's okay. And let's say JSON string equals JSON. Oh God, what is it? I've actually forgotten the JSON API to convert to string. Is it as string, parse string? Oh, I've forgotten the API to stringify. Nope. What would it be called? We've used it already. As string. I know it's near write JSON. As JSON text. That's exactly what I wanted. I think that's what we use for the Punk API. In fact, maybe I should look just to be extra safe and use the same thing. Anyway, so that should convert it to a JSON string. Now I will actually look at the Punk API. I'm going to add it back to the shortcuts here. Stick it at the bottom. Punk API. It's just the list loading. I don't get it. Saves fine. Does everything else fine. Just so okay. It's parse string is to read it in, but I guess we don't actually do much. Anyway, so let's just take that, and then we can say after we've done that, we need to delete the memory for it. So let's do JSON close JSON, because we don't need the object anymore. And then we can send the request. So in this case, for the auth, we're going to do exec SQL set JSON string. So we'll just use it for input and output. Equals HTTP. Oh no, so systools dot HTTP. In this case, it's a post request, post glob, which takes a few parameters. So we should also have, we need a couple of constants. Let's make those. So we need one for the endpoint, and we need one for the JWT length. So the endpoint is never going to change, so that's just going to be this. and this is going to be, let's say, 200. So, and we'll put that into our copybook in a little while. So, now we have to pass our parameters in. So that's just going to be our, now how should we do the URL? I guess we'd have to make a variable. Yeah, let's do that. Declare URL char 64 is not that long, and then we can just say URL equals endpoint plus login. So then we're going to pass in the URL, the JSON string, and a blank because we don't have any headers to pass in on this. And then we will be passing the JSON. So JSON pass string, and we'll pass in JSON string. And then what we want to do, well, really, if SQL state is all zeros, because obviously it needs to be successful. I'm not keeping consistent with my if statements, so it needs to be successful. And then we can say, well, this is where we would return JSON get str. So what do we want here? We want the token. So in this case, we're going to say JSON and then token. Love it. Okay, token. Boom. And then else return blank. And while we're here, we should also create a to-do error. This one's, again, very simple. Tickle pork. So that'll be a tickle pi to-do error. Returns an end pi. Return. No, we need to change this. It's not going to be to-do error. It's going to be to-do successful. I literally did the same thing in the last video where we added the error handler to do sex, and then we'll say return SQL state equals 00000. Okay, that's that. So that will return the token. Okay, I like that. Fairly simple. Let's go ahead and save that. And now it should compile, if I'm lucky. Missing a semicolon. Okay, lovely. That did compile. So that means we can now go ahead and create the ref file for the to-do API. So create new member, to-do API .rpgle_h. So very simple, as before. Copy, paste. Oh no. I lied. Star free first. Very important. Oh, I hit reload. Oops. I hit the wrong button. Probably have to do that again. So let's open the to-do API. Let's also open this. So let's copy that. I did not mean to press the reload button. ext proc, and actually, while we're here, let's take those, drop them in there. And then, of course, we need to do the same for the successful. Okay, and then save that and come over here and say copy q rpgle ref to do API. Save. Need those headers, so love it. Compiled, looking good. So that means we should also be able to create the service program. Yep, and we should be able to update it also. Love it. So let's do a work. My session probably timed out. Yep. So let's do a work object to do API /star all. Okay, so we have the service program, which is great. So that means we should probably do a work binder EF4. It's going to be to do API and to do API. 1 to do API, serve program, to library to do API, star embed. Okay, that's it. We've done all the setup we've needed, and the next video is going to be about creating our first test program to test the to do authenticate function. And that's pretty much it. So thank you very much for watching. Hope it was good. Hope it was an interesting video, and looking forward to the next one.